Right, so Monza, we have a sprint race where, if I get the results up quickly of the sprint race, I believe Lewis put it first, but his start was actually horrific. So he ended up going down to like fourth or fifth, or something like that.
So what's his name? Daniel wins. I think Daniel wins. He's on pole, and then it's Verstappen, and then it's Lando.
So for the sprint grid, Bottas took an engine penalty, so he puts it first, but Lewis came second, and then Bottas takes the penalty, so he goes down. This was actually the first time we saw the difference between the Mercedes new power unit and the old one, because the way Bottas could overtake the McLarens was actually
Lewis
quite
couldn't.
interesting. Lewis
He
would
didn't
pull
overtake
alongside.
McLarens.
He'd pull alongside the McLaren and then just
but
couldn't.
He didn't overtake any McLarens during the weekend. He didn't come anywhere close to the.
Yeah, they were clear.
You said Valtteri overtook the McLarens. He didn't come close to them during the weekend. They just took off.
No, I mean during the
race.
Who did he overtake? I saw.
Literally, they took 1-2.
I've confused myself now. Yeah. I remember him overtaking
the Ferraris and Red Bull.
Yeah, that must have been
Perez.
Yeah,
he overtook everyone.
Sorry, yeah. I was confusing myself.
That was a good recovery drive. He did get a podium.
He did all right, to be fair.
No, he did very well. You have to say, coming back from P20 to P3, incredibly impressive.
Right, starting grid. So for the starting grid,
Verstappen won, not Ricciardo.
Verstappen first, Ricciardo second, Norris third, Hamilton fourth. So he did finish fourth. Leclerc and Sainz in fifth and sixth. Then we get on to the race, and Ricciardo and Norris, first and second, quite close.
Norris asking, "Do you want me to stay in this position? Is that what's good for the team?"
That was so. It would have been nice to see them fight. To be fair, I feel like
no. I think McLaren would have because Ricciardo was in the lead. If Norris was in the lead, they would have made them hold position. I think it was the case where whoever was in the lead would hold position, whoever second would hold position.
They weren't going to tell them to fight, but I feel like it would have been nice to hold
because they're risking everything, so they're no hold position, and they were quick, they were rapid that weekend.
Yeah,
so.
Only 1-2 of the season. Their first 1-2 since 2010. Their first win since 2012.
Brazil 2012.
Yeah, it was Jensen
Button. Yes. That's how long ago it was.
Crashed into him. What do we have? Bottas finishing third.
Bottas came from P20 to P3, and you're saying it's an okay drive.
Okay, yeah, he did pretty well. I'm
incredible.
surprised. How did Bottas overtake people?
Because he had a new engine.
Stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
He had incredible performance gap, so he had to do that.
Leclerc fourth, and then we get onto the actual incident.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Max Verstappen with an extremely slow stop. This is after the rule was changed, so that they have to do the pit stops a bit slower.
But that's targeted firmly at Red Bull.
Yeah, pretty much. The excuse was it's not safe. These stops are so fast, but to change it mid-season's a bit weird. It's something you might change going into the next season if you think about it. But yeah, I don't know.
FIA
not great stuff. Yeah, another strange one from the FIA. Lewis also had a slow stop, not as slow, and he's a pit stop ahead of Verstappen, so he should have come out ahead of Max with fresh tyres, but it was a bit slow. They come next to each other, and here's the thing. So taking this incident, if we say out of context these two drivers, and this incident is taken completely by itself, I'd say it's Lewis's fault. He should have given room. Consistently with what I think about leaving room and stuff, I'd say you take this incident completely isolated. You say these are just two random drivers, and we don't think about what the FIA have been doing all year.
He didn't leave space, just like Max didn't leave space.
Yeah, I'd say he should have left space. But taking this into the context of everything else, blah, 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 once again, Max doesn't back down. This is the second time Lewis has stood his ground. The first time was Silverstone. And once again,
Max was on top of him by the end of it.
Did you see, actually, Sky Sports started using that and then the clip of Verstappen going into the barriers at Silverstone and putting Merry Christmas in front of it?
Really?
Did you not see this? There was so much backlash. So they started using clips of stuff in general to say Merry Christmas as part of their little intro before and after the advert breaks. And they used Max going on top of Lewis's head. Like, they just have them crash, Crofty screaming, "Oh!" And then it comes up, and then it slowly goes white and says Merry Christmas. And then they did the same thing with Max. So Max is flying across the gravel trap. and then Crofty's like, oh, when they've touched, and just as he hits the barrier, it all goes white, and they say Merry Christmas.
Doesn't seem like a good idea since one of them could have died in one of those. You have to give the FIA though like credit for the halo. I think people have seen how useful the halo is.
Definitely.
And you don't realize how massive those tires are until you have it on top of like someone's head and you're like, well, that tire is massive.
It's insane. And then Lewis, there's actually clips of, I think it might have been Ted's notebook, and there's something afterwards. There's people with cameras walking around in the paddock, as they always do. And one of them caught Lewis and he was following him around. And Lewis, instead of like turning his head to see who it is, he turns his whole body like that to look at the camera and then carries on walking. So he has like barely any movement in his neck, which is mad. But yeah, they crash.
But see, after this, like, Helmut Marko came out and was like, oh, if Lewis is really sick, he wouldn't be in New York doing the Met Gala. Like, I find that, like, comment to be incredibly, like, I don't want to say, like, is it insulting in a way, like, going to an event and having dinner with people, if my neck hurts, doesn't literally, like, makes no difference. And plus, you're essentially, you're going so far to cover yourself that you're saying that, nah, nothing happened to him, even when your driver was at fault, and your driver was said to be at fault, and he parked his car on top of him and a tire pressed down. Like, Formula cars aren't light, like as in they're light compared to road cars, but they're heavy. Yeah. And you're saying, nah, it's fine. What are you talking about?
Because that's the funny part. It's a good point to make actually, because after Silverstone, obviously they completely slate Lewis. They call him all of this and they talk about the abuse, but don't do it. And they
Mercedes didn't do the opposite.
After Monza, Mercedes don't abuse anyone, and on top of that, Red Bull are all saying it's a racing incident, which is funny because if you could have said it was Lewis's fault in any sense, they would have done it, but they couldn't defend Max, so they tried to do what they could. Oh no, it's a racing incident. He's not actually hurt. This is
but this is the interesting part. This is why I actually don't like Red Bull, because like Mercedes, when it came to the other one, they're like, at least like we didn't know like Max was ill, or like like hope he's better or whatever. But they're trying to make an excuse of, oh no, Lewis is fine. He's not fine. Like, instead of dealing with the fact that he's ill and being like, oh sorry, I didn't know he's ill or whatever, you're blaming him like, nah, he's fine. Boy had a Formula 1 car parked on his head. What are you talking about?
I don't know. Red Bull's antics at it again. But we move on from that.